Hey there Trailblazers, I hope you guys are all doing well. So today in this video, we've got several interesting pieces of new information related to Honkai Star Rail that could have some pretty important implications for upcoming patches. Specifically, we've recently received new details suggesting that both Sunday and JIAOQIU may potentially be receiving Nova Flare buffs in version 4.4. We've also gotten additional early information regarding the kit of the upcoming Elation DPS EVANESCIA. And finally, there's some pretty surprising news about both Robin and Huohua potentially being obtainable for free through the Golden Companion Spirit Shop in version 4.2. So there's definitely quite a bit to cover here. But before we jump into everything, let me just give the usual disclaimer that all of this information is based on early reports and unofficial sources. Nothing here is officially confirmed yet, and things can absolutely change before these patches actually release, so please take everything with a grain of salt. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into the video without wasting any more of your time. Okay, starting off with the potential Nova Flare buffs coming in version 4.4. For those of you who might not be familiar with the system, Nova Flare buffs are essentially balance adjustments that Hoyoverse sometimes introduces in order to improve older characters or bring certain units more in line with the current meta. These adjustments can range from small quality of life changes to more meaningful improvements that significantly increase a character's overall usefulness in team compositions. Now, according to the latest information currently circulating within the community, both Sunday and JIAOQIU are being looked at as possible candidates for these buffs in version 4.4. Starting with Sunday, this is already a character who provides extremely strong support capabilities, particularly in hypercarry style teams where one main damage dealer receives the majority of the buffs. His ability to amplify damage and enable powerful team setups has made him a very valuable unit for quite a while now. However, as newer team archetypes continue to appear, especially those revolving around new mechanics and path interactions, it wouldn't be surprising if Hoyoverse wanted to adjust his kit slightly so that he continues to remain relevant within the evolving meta. Even relatively small improvements to how his buffs scale or how consistently he can apply them could make a noticeable difference for players who rely on him in their primary teams. Now, looking at JIAOQIU, this is another character who could benefit quite a lot from potential Nova Flare adjustments. JIAOQIU already provides strong debuff utility and damage amplification through his kit, but he hasn't always seen the same level of universal usage as some of the other top-tier support characters in the game. So, if version 4.4 really does introduce buffs for him, it's possible those changes could focus on improving the consistency of his debuffs or enhancing the way his abilities interact with newer characters being introduced throughout the 4X patches. If both Sunday and JIAOQIU do end up receiving improvements through the Nova Flare system, it would continue a pattern we've been seeing where Hoyoverse revisits existing characters to keep them competitive as the overall roster continues to expand. Now, moving on from potential balance changes, let's talk about the new information we've recently received regarding EVANESCIA's kit, because this character is shaping up to be pretty interesting. As confirmed by the latest drip marketing, EVANESCIA is confirmed to be a 5-star physical element character that follows the path of Elation, and she appears to be designed as a main damage dealer for Elation-focused teams. Starting with her basic attack, EVANESCIA attacks enemies and deals physical blast damage based on a percentage of her attack, which means she can hit both the main target and nearby enemies at the same time. Now, looking at her skill, this ability attacks the enemy and deals physical blast damage based on her attack, while also adding 5 punchline stacks and regenerating a certain amount of energy. So right away we can see that punchline stacks are a core part of her gameplay loop, and her skill is likely going to be one of the main ways she builds these stacks during combat. These stacks tie directly into another mechanic mentioned in the early kit description. Once the number of punchline stacks reaches a certain threshold, an effect connected to AHA, the Aeon of Elation, will immediately trigger. When this happens, it will immediately trigger AHA, instant plus spoon damage activates and deals AoE damage to all enemies on the field. So essentially, Building enough punchline stacks allows EVANESCIA to trigger additional bursts of damage that spread across the entire battlefield. But the kit becomes even more interesting once another mechanic comes into play. If EVANESCIA enters something called Amaterasu mode and summons the Kitsu no Kami, the Aha Instant effect will actually trigger twice instead of once. And according to the description, the damage from this trigger follows the stats of the summon that's currently active, which suggests that summons could play a role in scaling her damage output. Now moving on to her ultimate, this ability appears to activate a special combat state. When EVANESCIA uses her ultimate, she applies debuffs to all enemies while also ignoring their defense, which is already a pretty powerful effect. While this mode is active, both her basic attack and skill are converted into enhanced versions, meaning her core abilities become stronger for a period of time. And finally, we have what's being referred to as her special ultimate, which activates something called finishing attack mode. During this attack, EVANESCIA deals a large AoE strike that inflicts both physical damage and great boon damage to all enemies. But the most interesting part of this ability is an additional mechanic tied to enemy health. If an enemy's HP is below 50% when this attack hits, it can trigger an instant kill effect, immediately defeating that target. However, this instant kill effect can only trigger once per finishing attack, so it won't eliminate every enemy at once, but it could still be extremely powerful for cleaning up weakened enemies toward the end of a fight. So overall, EVANESCIA's gameplay appears to revolve around building punchline stacks, triggering AoE bursts through elation mechanics, and finishing off enemies with powerful late-stage attacks once their HP drops low enough. Now finally, let's talk about what is probably the most surprising piece of information out of everything we've discussed today. According to the latest reports, both Robin and Huohuo may be added to the Golden Companion Spirit Shop in version 4.2. If you're unfamiliar with how this system works, the Golden Companion Spirit Shop allows players to obtain previously released limited characters by exchanging a special resource. So if Robin and Huohuo really are being added to that shop in version 4.2, it would effectively allow players to unlock these characters without needing to pull for them on a banner. And considering how valuable both of these units are, that would be a pretty significant development. Robin is still widely considered one of the strongest harmony supports in the game thanks to her team-wide buffs and the massive damage amplification she provides during her ultimate. Meanwhile, Huohuo remains one of the most versatile sustained characters available, offering a strong combination of healing, energy regeneration, and team utility. Giving players access to characters like these through the Golden Companion Spirit Shop would make it much easier for both newer players and veterans to strengthen their team compositions. So when you step back and look at everything together, these recent pieces of information suggest that several interesting things could be coming in the next few patches. We potentially have balance improvements for Sunday and JIAOQIU in version 4.4, new mechanics being introduced through EVANESCIA's elation-focused kit, and the possibility of two extremely valuable characters becoming obtainable through the Golden Companion Spirit Shop in version 4.2. Of course, none of this is officially confirmed yet, but it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on as we move closer to the upcoming updates. That's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video. If you found this helpful, feel free to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more Honkai Star Rail updates and analysis. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.